power of people is on the rise. Digital technology is enabling more and more people all around the world to get their messages out. One consequence is people and brands are also moving closer together. If not, brands will fail. A question for you. So how is JWT adapting to this change of relationship between what used to be consumer and now is people, very empowered people, and communications? How are you leading the discussion?
That's an interesting question. I think that we realized probably, and this isn't we JWT, this is we the industry, realized that 5 or 6 years ago, the traditional ways that brands used to reach consumers, not only were they becoming, it was becoming more difficult to come up with original ideas. Everything that had been done. To get cut through with an audience was more difficult. But more importantly, people weren't consuming media in a way that a brand typically wanted to get there. So we knew that we needed to get involved in technology and essentially fish where the fish are. And so understanding digital, but more specifically social media and community management was something that we needed to get very good at very quickly. And most of our clients now, as well as traditional advertising campaigns, are asking us also to build ecosystems, if you like, to see that how we can put their brand amongst the people. So if you think about something like Facebook, and Facebook itself is an evolution of the idea of social networking that started with Friendster and then developed into MySpace. And now Facebook is really I think the key platform and will be for some time. When you talk to Facebook and they sort of explain about how they look at networks, they see networks made up of people and brands existing together. So that you have an individual who is connected to 100, 150 friends, and they're also connected to 10, 20, however many brands. So when people and brands are living so close to each other in proximity like that, an organization like JWT, and in fact everybody in the industry, needs to understand how the dynamic has changed. So we don't live in this world where there is a sender of a message and then there is a receiver of a message. We live in a world now where a brand has to simply be where those people are and either be a platform for them and Starbucks is an example of a really interesting brand that do that, or allow them to participate in the idea. So we're on the lookout always for something that, in order to bring a brand and an individual closer together, you want that person to actually engage with or experience the brand. Hence the rise, I think, of social media itself, and also experiential forms of marketing where you can actually get to taste or see or play or drive or whatever it may be the product, and then taking that and advertising that. So in other words, the idea itself becomes something that you will film as opposed to just making a film that has no relevance to an idea.
Could we summarize that as today brands or brand communications have got to activate the brand, engage the audience, and infect channels? Is that a formula?
I think so. I mean, I think that there's probably a lot of ways to skin this particular cat, and I think that the problem will be that as more people move into this area, that you will see the same thing that happened in traditional media, in that everybody's trying to do the same thing. So being original now, I think, is particularly important. I was judging a digital awards show at the end of last year, and I thought to myself at the end of it how almost all of the digital ideas were some form of competition via Facebook, that you and your friends, if you won, you would go on some sort of holiday or trip funded by the brand. And there's something, it's great for the people that win the competition, but doesn't necessarily, I'm starting to get bored of that sort of, way of communicating. So this is a world where, unless we're constantly pushing how you can do things differently now, using digital tactics, people will tune out in the same way as they tuned out of television.
Now you're a filmmaker, so you are actually you were always in the communication industry somehow, and you had a very, very stark event happen to you on that very day. You were actually threatened for your life, and I understand the first thing, it was the report about that, writing about that, was a moment where you realized that you were facing a 50-50 decision. Will I blog this or will I not blog it? Can you tell us a little bit about how that feels? Because I think it's a very special moment when you're actually faced with this piece of communication will have impact.
The first time a friend of mine called me and told me, do you want to shoot some videos for Dr. Muhammad Baradei when he first arrived in Egypt 1 year and a half? And we all knew that anyone who will be attached to that name by any mean will be harassed somehow. But me and some of my friends, we did it. We believed in what this guy was trying to do when he came and tried to ask for changing the constitution and the laws and asking for the minimum wage for people. That was a hard moment. Another hard moment when on the day, the 25th, the first day, when we started calling each other, will we go or not today in the streets? And it was a hard decision. We were all like, yes, we should go, maybe we should not. It was hard, but at the end we went out. It's that moment when you're standing in the street and see all these soldiers and officers making that, I don't know what to call it, circle cordon around you. It's that very moment when you decide if I'm gonna stay or not. They give you a chance. You can stay out, you can leave the protest, or you can say, but we will make this. You won't stay. You won't leave after that until the end of the day. And we stayed. And this moment when we tried to break that cordon so we can meet the other people in the square, it was a moment of courage, collective courage, not one person, but we all of us took that decision that we will break the cordon no matter what. And when they started beating us so you can not meet the other people, that was another moment. You find these moments every day and you get shocked by the decision that you make or the other people make. If you are being put in the same position now, you might not have the same outcome, but in the moment you have this collective energy between all the people standing like we're not gonna back down, we're gonna do it no matter what it takes. And at the same time, after that day, when we started to write about it, we know that everything was tapped. It was monitored by the government on Facebook and Twitter. But we weren't afraid somehow. A lot of the people got arrested. Thankfully, I wasn't one of them. But it was that risk that knowing that you might be arrested anyhow. But in those moments, you are not the same you if you're in your everyday life. It's this kind of energy of the people that really drives you. It's not really you know.
You were on the podium discussion, Power to the People, and you made some interesting points about how brands now in Egypt, but maybe even in general, should not try to superficially capitalize the people's ideas. How can brands talk and reach you?
I think brands are always asking the same question: how can we sell more? It's now the time to think, how can we respect our consumer more so we can sell more? Because you cannot get away anymore without respecting the consumer. It's the same thing. Our governments always thought they were always looking down to us and trying to brainwash us, sell us their ideas, sell us their policies. But people are getting smarter because of the social media, because of communication. So because they're having the sense of analyzing better, because we have seen a lot. Maybe 10, 20 years from now, you could have seen like 50 ads in a day. Now you can see like 4,000 ads in the same day, from billboards to print ads to TV commercials. So you have this kind of analytical thinking now. You can't sense if this product is lying or this product is not. You can't sense if this product has a real good, better product or just better ads, you know? So I don't think corporations should ask themselves how to sell more without giving attention to the people, to respect them, to be honest, to tell us the truth, not to sneak around and try to do something harmful for us or for the environment behind our backs, and then go on television and say we're green, we support AIDS in Africa and stuff like. You can't get away with that anymore, because a guy like me or those guys who are standing in Tahrir Square can see one of those violations and just tweet about it, and you're screwed.
I'm Mexican. I work at La Agencia de ORCI in Los Angeles, California, and my title there is Executive Creative Director for La Agencia.
I understand that this is a special agency. It's a special in the sense that you focus on a certain cultural group in the United States. Could you tell us a little bit about, why that is important, how that works, and just what is it that you actually do?
Yeah, broadly, what happens in the States is, I think, a case that is not replicated anywhere else in the world. We do Hispanic advertising, Hispanic for the Hispanic community that lives in the States, and that at the beginning sounds like it's something very small. But if we take the numbers, 55 million Hispanics live in the U.S., even from several generations on recent arrivals. We're talking about a country within a country that has probably the 12th economy in the world, generates $3 billion a year, and it speaks in a different language than the common general market in the U.S. So certainly the needs for communicating to them are greater, or are very good. That's in a nutshell what we do.
Where do you find inspiration, and what do you think is it your role to inspire a team, or how does that work? What do you do with your team?
Well, there's several things. A leader, of course, by the definition, should inspire in a team, but I also believe that the team should inspire themselves, and the role of the leader is to bring all those experiences into something relevant for the creative process. One of the things that we ponder, or that I pondered very much with them, is working effectively, the time that you have to work, because that would allow you then to have a life. And if you have a life, then you have richer experiences to bring on board, of course, into the creative process. If you have kids, play with the kids. If you have to go and see a movie, go and see a movie. Then those are topics that we can either because of the experience that we got into the market, getting in touch with the consumer, or because you're a human being and you need to refresh your ideas.
How important is technology, also maybe in relationship to talking to a very specific audience and using another language? Does technology make it easier to reach that audience?
Yes, it's fascinating. I think the role of technology is of primordial importance, especially for the creative team. We don't have to become technicians. We don't have to understand how it works and be the BMW guy but we drive the car. So we must understand. I remember having a discussion with Welt copywriter that said, we need an interactive copywriter because we need to write some banners. And this guy stays half an hour a day in Facebook. So do you know the media or not? So it is absolutely necessary, and at the same token, we abuse it, and there are redundancy in the uses of technology, but in the detriment of the process of working. People spending too much time in the internet, redundancy in the email, and nobody understanding really what's happening everybody becomes an expert and nobody knows anyone. But I suppose that's what happens when technology is so fresh and new and is constantly changing. So we're trying to keep up on par, and that's fascinating. I think the process is very nice.
Process or end result?
End result.
Culture or structure?
Culture.
Dream or reality?
Reality.
First mover or early adapter?
Early adapter.
FaceTime or Facebook?
FaceTime.
Questions or answers?
Answers.
Starting all new or improving the old?
Interesting. Improving the old.
Concept or execution?
Execution.
And tomorrow or today?
Today.
And Cannes in 3 words?
I like it.
Thank you so much. Process or end result?
Process.
Culture or structure?
Culture.
Dream or reality?
Dream.
First mover or early adopter?
Early adopter.
Reading or watching?
It can be both, no? Reading.
FaceTime or Facebook?
FaceTime.
Questions or answers?
Questions.
Driving or being driven?
Driving.
Revolution or evolution?
Evolution.
Khan in 3 words.
3 words. 4. Best place for ideas.